Hey guys, welcome back to Easeldoesitstudio. So I pulled out a few more things. We are going to do another crystal video today. Hopefully you guys don't mind. But I wanted to kind of do like a comparison. So I did figure out how to get them out. All you got to do is put hot water and you let it sit for a minute, and then they break right off the sides. So all the crystals go in the bottom and you strain it out. So in that first cup, these were the bigger pieces that I was able to save. So we can create more crystals from these crystals. So, because what I did is, because I want to redo two of them, and I wanted to make sure that when I put it back in the hot water, that it wasn't going to dissolve. That was my fear, because I want to redo this rock and this starfish to see if I could get more, bigger crystals on it. So I wanted to make sure that they weren't going to dissolve. So they didn't. What happens is when I put the hot water in the cup, it just stays there. It didn't move until I actually moved it, and then it started to break off. And then I just strained it and then scooped the crystals out. So I only bought the bigger chunks down, but I have a whole bunch. So we're going to do another piece of the sea glass. This is the sea glass that I had got, decorative sea glass. It's just, different colors and pieces and whatever. All right, I'll put that over there out of the way. This is the bag of shells that I had got at Michael's. I didn't have another regular starfish, but I did have a real starfish. So we're going to try this in the Epsom salt. But we're also going to do this shell. So this is a smooth finish, and this is textured. So I'm thinking the crystals should really, really adhere to this piece. So we're going to do this one in the Epsom salt, this one in the Epsom salt, this in the Epsom salt. This is just going to be, because the pine cones, they're just too small and they float. And then my rock. So that is what is up for today. And I did want to give a shout out. I got some happy mail. Terry sent me some gloves. They're like extra thick. They're 6 mil. And they are latex free. And they're tested so that even fentanyl exposure within 4 hours. So they're supposed to be really heavy duty gloves. So I also got an order in today from Naomi, and we're going to be doing that probably after this video. And I'm going to use these to see if that helps. Now I've gotten my split. It started healing. It's getting much smaller. But I'm hoping the Epsom salt is actually going to help it, because they say Epsom salt is good for your skin. So, yeah. So thank you, Terry, so much. I really hope these work. And I will, I save all my gift tags. So thank you so much. She is so kind to me. She goes above and beyond, honestly. She is a sweetheart. All right, so I'm going to cut the price off of this. And it's probably going to get, ooh. How in the world am I going to do this? Because that... All right, I might be able to put that in there. And then I could do this starfish and this, and hang this in there. All right, so let me I just want to cut some of this stem off. And I need bigger scissors than this. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? I'm not. That's what I'm thinking. Nope. I got to get my... Hang on. I got to get my wire cutters here. Oh. There we go. Really, if I could hang on to it, I would be, you know, doing even better. All right, so we have that. And I'll just keep this because, you know, we can always use leaves in something. All right, so I have this, I have that, I have this. This is going to be to redo my rock. This is going to be for this rock. I'm going to use this, I'm going to do another pipe cleaner, but I'm going to do it a little bit different. So there's going to be more pieces in this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix each one individually that I'm going to put my item in. And that's going to go in there. All right. I got to get myself organized. I'm like, I got too many things going on. This is just too cool. All right. So basically, I want this to almost be like different crystals, you know, sticking out of, instead of it being a tree, let me just kind of wrap that. Almost so that, you know, it's forming like a crystal. But then I think I'm going to make a round base for this. So it would kind of look like, you know, the bottom of a rock type of thing. I don't know. All right, so let me... And we'll take another one. Kind of almost like doing a wire wrap jewelry project. Only with whatchamacallies, these thingies. God, words are hard today. And I am just going to try to lock some of them in. Let's see. Okay. And I'm gonna just stick that up. And because I want these to be secured, you know, to whatever we're growing here. And then we'll just do another one here. And then we just gotta get our little shapy things pointing up. All right, and then we will dangle that on our stick, just like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do the Epsom salt ones first. So I'm gonna move these two out of the way so I don't screw up and, you know, do the wrong thing here. So I'm gonna do the same thing. We're just gonna tie a knot around our rock. Come on. Well, we're gonna wrap around this way too, just because I don't want this to fall out. And I wanted to get these out anyhow because I want to try it wrapping one of these with wire. So that's why I brought the whole container in. Hang on. I'm going to wrap it a couple of times. I probably should have done this, you know, off camera, but if you wanted to, anybody wants to try it, I want you to see the whole process. So I'm going to keep my finger there. So I guess the trick with this is to have big enough, you know, pieces of wire or fishing line. There we go. Okay. And cut that. Get this out of our way because we don't need that anymore. And we'll get a knot started. And I got my finger on that bottom part. Okay. So that way I know I have to have my water, you know, pretty close to the top on these two. All right, so we've got everything. We just need to get this. We need a piece of wire for this. And then hopefully this one will be a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and I am going to put it through this bottom row. and then tie my knot. And that way I know it's not going to slide up the plastic stem. And like I said, we can always, you know, cut the fishing line and it will never even really show. So I'm going to bend this. All right, so this is not going to, it's not going to be fully submerged, but that's fine because I can always cut off the bottom. But I did want, you know, a good hunk of it in the solution. Okay, so I've got my water all hot here. And let's start with this one. This is the Epsom salt. And it's the same procedure, from my understanding, as we did with the borax. You've got to get it to the point where it's fully saturated. And I learned a lot on the last video because this first one that I did, it was really saturated. So I'm definitely going to add more. All right, and let me see. So I have got to go about 3/4 of the way up. All right, I'm going to try to zoom in so that you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so got 3/4 of the way, and then we're just going to dump our Epsom salt. And we're going to stir until it won't dissolve any more of the salt. So from what I found with the last one, you really, the more the salt or the more borax that you add, the more crystals you get. Like a lot of people I see, they measure and this and that, and I'm like, you want it so that it's not gonna dissolve anymore, so that when you're stirring, you can either feel that grit in the bottom or you can see it. Should have got a spoon. Oh, wait a minute. Where's my clear spoons? Hopefully it don't melt it. No, I'm gonna add some more. All right, I guess we ain't gonna be able to add any more because it's gonna overflow when I add my shell. Let me get some paper towels ready because I have a feeling I'm gonna be overflowing. That wasn't quite thought out right. But I can smell it. It is salty, so. All right, we're gonna go with that and we will see. But I do want it a certain way. I want it this way. Okay. Because I want that shell up. Yeah, we'll just throw some more in for good measures. Why not? All right, so let me carefully slide this one back. The glass containers are better because you can see like how much salt is still in there, or the borax, or whatever you're using. All right, so let's get this one done. And we will just pour in a bunch of salt, and we're gonna stir. So see how that's dissolving that salt? So you want to get it so that it's not dissolving that salt anymore. Because that's when you know that your water is completely saturated. Okay. So I can definitely see there's some on the bottom, so we're going to go with that. And we'll move this over here. Okay. Next, let's do this one. And I'm not even going to try to color it because I know now we can do it with the alcohol ink. And I didn't even think, because I could have sprayed some rubbing alcohol and when I put the dye to make it thinner. So we will try that with this one. All right. Yeah. Because now that the salt has started to settle, I could see in my container to make sure my shell was going the right way. I just figured doing it this way might be the better way, and that way I know that my solutions are completely saturated. All right, I can see some chunks. So we're going to call that good. Okay. And that one I don't think we'll need too much water. I've used about half of this container. So all right, and I am going to refill this so we can make sure we have hot water for the next. All right, turn that on, that water's empty, and let's pour All right, so that's good. It's got some floaties in there, so we're gonna say that's good. Oh no. All right, I need something heavy. Something heavy on here. What do I have? What do I have? All right. So we might not get a good result on this flower because it is touching the glass, but we will just, we'll see. All right. So and that one looks like it all dissolved, so I'm just gonna add a little bit more. I can feel crystals on the bottom. Yep, so we're good there. That's completely saturated. Now I'm going to put just a little bit in here. We're going to float this, and then I'm going to do the borax for the other two. But I'm going to do it the same way that I'm doing this. As soon as my water gets hot here. So let me get a stick for this guy over here. So we can make sure he's hanging. And then again with this one, when I put it in, I'm going to put it in upside down. We did get quite a few crystals on the bottom though, as you can see. And the thing that I've noticed is as they dry, the crystals become more obvious. So that's kind of really cool. All right, so let me unzoom you here for a minute. Oh, this way. So on this one here, I'm going to try something. We have room in here. I'm going to ball up a little bit of tin foil. This is just regular aluminum foil, tin foil. And hopefully it doesn't float. Of course it's gonna. Of course, why wouldn't it? All right, we're just gonna let it float and see if the crystals form on the back side of it. I don't know. I also saw something else really cool and I want to try it. I'm not going to do it on this video because this video is already going to be long enough. But if it works, guys, it's going to be kind of really cool because it's going to allow us to color change a bunch of stuff. And that's all I'm saying because I don't want to give it away. So stay tuned for that video. All right, so that's boiling. And like I said, I don't need much for this one because I already know it's gonna float. So it is 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so we will demold these tomorrow morning. And that way it's going to be closer to like 19, 20 hours. So to give it a little bit longer to grow. All right, I think that's going to be good. Okay, so let me move that back here. And I do want the water on to get on the both sides because this is the top. So I do want it like that. Oh, and that one's gonna sink. Cool. Because that's the back. So since it's sinking, we'll put it that way. Okay, sweet. All right, so we need to redo this one, and this one's going to be with the borax. Now, this one might sink this time because it's already got crystals on it. I don't know. But and again, we'll stir this till it won't take any more. You know, I could have picked like 1 or 2 items, but what's the fun in that? You know, you want to test different materials and then we know, you know, if we wanted to do it again, what things work best. All right. So I definitely think, all right, I'm just going to let that sit for a minute and see, you know, like this, I can see there's still crystals on the bottom, so I know we're good. We'll just let the air and stuff get out of that one, and we'll get this one poured and get this one mixed. Ooh. Now, my other thinking is, what would happen if we mix the salt and the borax together? Would we get a different type of crystal? So, do I have a small container that I could use down here already? And we could throw something in it. think that's going to be, because I want this one to really be saturated. Yeah, that's going to be good. All right, so we are of course I need a smidge more water. There we go. Now I got to make sure I don't hit that rock. Okay. And all right, and this is not going to float, so we're going to carefully, oh, come on, submerge it that way. So then the crystals will be able to grow upward. So yeah, that is it. Let me just see. Oh, wait a minute. I got some silicone cups. Let me grab. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick, I'll put one of those sea glass pieces and we'll just drop it in there. I'm not going to bother to wrap it. But I'm going to mix both the borax and the Epsom salt, right? Why not? And then we'll know if that produces a better result or not. All right, so I'm gonna put a scoop of this. And a scoop of that. I mean, if they each grow crystals, why couldn't you mix them and maybe get a different crystal look? I don't know. All right, so I can definitely see that it's not melting anymore. You can see that, see the granules floating in there? So that tells me that it's full. All right, so we're just gonna take, what's the first color that we did? Blue, and then that light green. Did a light blue. Let's do two of the dark blue. We'll just drop them in, and then we'll see what happens. Alrighty, guys, I will be back when it is time to reveal all of our crystals. Alrighty, guys, see you in a bit. Well, guys, we have a major fail. The Epsom salt did absolutely nothing. Nothing. But we did get a little bit more crystals on the rock. So I'll just let that dry, then I'll snip that top off. And yeah, we got nothing at all on the Epsom salt, guys, nothing. So don't use Epsom salt for sure. Nothing at all. Well, that's a disappointment. All right, so, but we got some nice crystals, you know, on our starfish. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, now that looks good. Let me just kind of dry it off here a little bit, see if you can see better. So yeah, so this experiment was a fail, but now we know, right? And I'm sure it's probably because I did something wrong, but I mean, look at this. This is completely covered in crystals. This is gorgeous. Look at that. So yeah, I would definitely say the longer you leave it or doing a second coat definitely made the huge difference. Now this is our other one from the other day that's completely dried now. All right, so nothing. Let's see. Nope, nothing on those either. Not even on our thingies. So yeah, that's a major disappointment, but we were able to make our first two pieces better. So in hindsight, stick to the borax. You know, like this one still, it had stuff in it. So I know, you know, this was saturated enough. It should have done something. And it had the borax too. So, and this one has granulars on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. So it's not that I didn't saturate it enough, because I did. It's just, yeah, that did not work at all. What a disappointment, but that's okay. You know. Alrighty, guys. Well, this was pretty much an epic fail, but we learned something. So now you know. Don't use Epsom salt. Alrighty, guys. Bye.